This is a real article on a real site. I'm not even kidding. Hello everyone, I am Mecha Random 42, the one, the only, the original, your favorite YouTube consumer. Consumer advocate RP. Who knows if the space intro is going to pop up at the same time? It goes a little slow sometimes. It's tired, it's sleepy. It's been away for 2 weeks, and we need to warm them up with, I don't know. I've just got too much stuff on my OBS. That's who I am. If you guys do like content like mine or any channel that speaks out against all the BS and garbage, please subscribe to them. Anybody you watch, anybody you want to continue, anyone you want to fight the YouTube suppression with, sharing the videos really help. And then we can have a voice against this nonsense. Yeah, like I said, it's a real article. Toxic masculinity is the real reason Anakin Skywalker fell. That's not the point of Star Wars. He was supposed to be seduced by evil in the dark. That's not toxic masculinity. What is wrong with you people? Why do you have to blame men for everything? Did you realize that the white male demographic, I did a survey actually on Twitter, and you guys sometimes wonder why I do surveys on Twitter. I asked how many of my viewers were quote unquote old white dudes. You know, the ones that a lot of the little actresses don't like very much.
I do not need a 40-year-old white dude.
Nobody asked you, Brie. Nobody asked you, and frankly, 66% of my viewers, according to Twitter, say that they qualify as old white dudes, so they don't like being lumped in with toxic masculinity, lumped in with the bad guys for all eternity. They don't like being lumped in with, you know, being blamed for everything that they didn't do, that somebody else did. It's time to move on. It's time to move past a lot of this stuff. This does not help anything. And once the people actually realize how much of a voice they have, how powerful they are to stand up to this, then we're going to really have our renaissance. We're going to have our enlightenment. We're going to have a time where girls can not wear brassieres on their YouTube channels and not get banned for it, and not get shamed by a bunch of Puritans who want to and cry, screaming, "Where are her organs?" when it's your own crapping channel, your own crapping body that you're trying to be positive for. You're only allowed to be body positive if you want to be unhealthy. I've done videos on that. You can't even say, hey, I want to exercise more, because you're going to get reeing and crazy garbage wah for that too. No, not today. We're not taking this crap anymore. We're not taking it. We're not going to bend to this. We're done. We're done. And Margaret, 3 days ago, you were wrong, and you're wrong today. What do you look like? Is that her? That might be her. That's probably not her. The latest from Margaret. What? Oh, here she is. This is her. You know, not too different. Not too different. Margaret has a degree in English history with honors in apocalyptic literature from the UPI, where she played varsity ice hockey. She also has a diploma in writing for film and television from Vancouver. She likes practicing yoga and talking about movies and petting dogs. That is her, and she's wearing scrubs for some reason. Now, why do you blame toxic masculinity, Margaret? Star Wars Anakin Skywalker falls to the dark side as a result of the toxic masculinity in which he is raised and trained. How is any of that anti-whammon? How is any message? I've never heard Palpatine be anti-whammon. He was never particularly touchy-feely grabby. He was never the type of guy who's going to slap his secretary on the patootie as she walks by. I don't think he would be anyway. I can't even picture Palpatine with a woman, for crying out loud. So you're telling me that Palpatine raised Anakin to be toxically masculine? I always thought Anakin was a bit whiny at times. And that's why he was, especially when he was a little kid, he was kind of a whiny kid. And that wasn't really toxic masculinity. That was more, he was a little more soy. And here's where everybody's going to cancel me, because toxic masculinity would be something more like Lando Calrissian, if you really, really want to define it. Somebody overly flirtatious. Han Solo, possibly. Han Solo would be possibly described as that. It's a very that era of its time interaction between Han Solo and Leia. And she stood up to it. And she was a confident woman that women admired. Because look at the type of stuff she was dealing with, and look at how much grace and poise she carried herself with. So you can't even argue that Han Solo's quote-unquote toxic masculinity would even be a bad thing, because Leia certainly handled herself well, and she stood up to it in the best way possible. And they ended up hooking up, and they had a kid. So how is that is reproduction toxic now all of a sudden? He was also raised by his mother. Anakin was raised by his mother, Shmi. Darth Vader of the Star Wars saga is one of the most famous and recognizable villains in cinema history. When he was first introduced in 1977's it was Star Wars then. Even when I was a little kid, when I'd watch it, it was called Star Wars. So just say Star Wars. Little was known about his deeply tragic backstory, but years later, the prequels detailed young Anakin Skywalker's tragic fall from the Jedi Chosen One to the Sith Lord Darth Vader. While he was manipulated by the Emperor, the real reason Anakin fell to the dark side was the environment of toxic masculinity in which he was raised and trained by the Jedi. They were monks, you crazy woman. What is wrong with you? They were practically monks. Tell me in chat why this woman is absolutely incorrect, and in the comment section as well. Well, he was manipulated by the Emperor. He was raised by... Did you watch the same movie we did? Did you watch the same? Because I watched the prequels. I saw them in the theater. At least two of them. I didn't see the second one of the prequel, because that was the worst one. Let's face it. I should have probably, just for cred, but... Margaret blames men for her attitude. Don't be like her and look on the bright side and never give up, right? Margaret, what did they do to you that you're so mad at? Why are you so mad, Margaret? Why? Do you need a puppy? Do you need something to love? Do you need somebody to love you? Is that what you're looking for? Are you just mad? Margaret wearing her scrubs up there decides that Anakin's toxic. Toxic masculinity does not mean that all masculinity is toxic. It refers to the expectation that men prioritize stoicism, violence, and other stereotypes of masculinity. How is being stoic toxic? What is wrong with you? Yeah, what is wrong with stoicism? It's a CBR article, that's why she's wrong. Morbid Fury, it's impossible for the two of you to watch the same film. They see everything through tainted lens of race and gender. You will never see the same film. Right? They're just not going to see the same thing. These stereotypes are detrimental to men and women, as well as society as a whole. The Jedi Order raised Anakin in an environment saturated with toxic masculinity ideals. And the outcome was his tragic turn from light to dark. The Jedi Temple actually were against what he was doing. He was manipulated by the dark. That was Sith. Did you not know that that's... You never heard Yoda talk about hate and fear and anger and the dark side. Because you can defend yourself with a lightsaber without using it for hate and destruction. But Anakin was seduced by the dark side and Palpatine and the Sith. That was the point. He slaughtered the younglings. Luckily, Baby Yoda got out alive because he's a cute little baby. The Jedi do not intentionally encourage toxic masculinity. However, they foster it within Anakin because they teach him to fear all of his emotions. He fears that if they catch him expressing any emotion, he will be punished. That's not necessarily true. That is not... They're trying to get him to calm down and not be such a temperamental... There's a reason why Yoda said don't train him in the first place. And you can go into the debate of Qui-Gon. Like, I always say... I kind of feel that Qui-Gon was kind of a bad Jedi, that he lacked the judgment and the wisdom that he should have had, but to blame that on all of the Jedi because one made a mistake. If you're going to treat them like they are human-type characters, human-type aliens, then they're going to have flaws. They're going to have failings. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to screw up. That's not a healthy way to learn emotional intelligence. It actually creates feelings of isolation and desperation and amplifies aggressive and anger-driven responses. This lack of emotional intelligence is both the cause and result of toxic masculinity. No! Which is the path that transformed and opened him into the angry, hateful Vader. That's not toxic masculinity, though. Toxic masculinity isn't telling men to suppress their emotions. Here's the difference between this. Because here's your argument, right? Here's your argument. And as a woman, you don't want to be an emotional wreck all the fucking time. Look at the people on Star Trek. Look at Star Trek Discovery, for example. How many times do you see any of us on YouTube? And I know Az, so shout out to Az, heel versus babyface. He's always on Twitter saying, why are you crying? Stop fucking crying. And that's to the women characters. And you kind of have to learn to grow out of that a little bit. You have to learn to control it a little bit. You have to learn to move past that, because by wallowing in grief, anger, hatred, by letting it fester, by not trying to grow out of it, by not trying to find other outlets, by not trying to go through meditation or positive outcomes, by trying to see the world as a bigger picture than just from race, skin, gender, all of these things, right? Seeing the world as we are all whole and everybody is going to go through something. Everybody at some point in their lifetime has had their appearance or their superficial outer layer, their shell, has had something, some harsh remark. Everybody at some point in history will have some remark made about them in some negative and disparaging manner. Everybody is going to go through a tragedy in their life, some greater than others. Some people are going to have it completely smooth sailing. Sometimes you're going to have a celebrity who goes through crap after crap after crap. But everybody is going to have something that they're going to focus on. Even the most beautiful person in the world is going to zoom in on their nose or something and see something that only they see, that nobody else has a problem with. So you have to kind of learn and take into account everything in the universe and prioritize and see what things are actually worth getting upset over. And sometimes you kind of have to grow up, suck it up, and move past a lot of this. And that is not toxic masculinity. That is life advice for everybody. You don't want to basically pussy out and be one of those people who can't function in society because they're afraid or they're sad or they're scared. You have to kind of grow up and grow past a lot of this, because it's not all about you. You're not the center of the universe. I'm not the center of the universe. Anakin Skywalker isn't the center of the universe. There are other things out there than what's going on in their own little narrow world. And that is the issue. That is the issue. This would only be toxically masculine if somebody is so focused on their own little narcissistic feelings and fears that they can't possibly see how anybody else is. If the Jedi had allowed Anakin to express emotions from his young age and utilize healthy coping mechanisms, he would have been prepared when he was over. What are you suggesting is a healthier coping mechanism, right? Because allowed him to express his emotions is only going to enable and further allow him to be an emotional wreck his whole life. It's not going to teach him to. And I can kind of see where she's coming from with this. Yeah, you want to have a healthier outlet, which is a lot of the time it's physical activity, it's martial arts training, it's that sort of thing. You're going to have a way to channel anger and frustration in a healthier way than just crying all over the place and being an emotional wreck and throwing a temper tantrum. Do you see what I'm saying? You have to kind of learn to grow past that, because once you're allowed to smash something up and break it, then that's all you're going to learn is acceptable. Or if you're encouraged just to cry all the time and then you get everything you want because of it, then that's going to be encouraged. All right, I don't want to read any more of this. She just wants to blame it on Ree and Wah. If you really want to read the rest of this article, go ahead. But you're not telling me anything that's actually helpful here. You have a degree in, what does she have a degree in? English? You're not a psychologist. You have a diploma in writing from film and television. And you have a degree in English history and apocalyptic literature. So I don't think you're qualified to psychoevaluate him. I'm probably not either. But I'm going to disagree with you and say I think you kind of understand how Anakin could have been a better character had he been able to use the coping mechanisms. But there's a reason why Yoda said not to train him in the first place. I have been on this article long enough. Tell me what you guys think in the comments section below. I am MechaRandom42. And I'll see you guys on the next video, live stream, or back in my live chat. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!
Suck it up, whiny pants.